Well, if you remember the old quote from former athletics director at the University of Florida, Jeremy Foley once said, "What must be done eventually should be done immediately." And so it was. Saturday night, after Auburn's defeat of the Kentucky Wildcats, Auburn makes a change. Welcome into Three-Man Front. We begin this week, man, just like we thought it was going to end right on Friday afternoon, that Auburn was going to lose to one of the most pathetic teams in the history of the Southeastern Conference. And so John Cohen had had enough. The money boosters said, you know what? Enough is enough with his Hugh Freeze fiasco. And Freeze was shown the door. So now where does Auburn turn next? We want to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX. The courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. One thing's for sure, Landrum, we've been doing this show together for quite a while now. And to say that we were shocked by the results on the field and what took place after the game on Saturday, that would be an understatement.
It's just still a head scratcher when you look back and just everything all encompassing of Hugh Freeze and his career at Auburn in the 2.5 seasons. But the offense and as someone you watch a ton of high school football, college football, we all do in doing what we do. I get to watch it at field level. I see good football. I see bad football. It doesn't matter if you're at the non-Power 4 level, Power 4 level. To score only 3 points in a college football game. I don't care who you're playing. It's really, really hard to do these days.
Especially in this world of high-octane offenses. And
it's tough, Pat. It's really tough. You got to go out of your way to screw a lot of stuff up or just not have anything to start with. That was – and last week on the show we kept getting asked, well, what if Kentucky beats Auburn? I said, I don't see how that you can stomach that if you're John Cohen, if you're any of these influential boosters. But to get that performance, Hugh Freeze, and then his comments after the game, Pat, I think he did Auburn a favor.
I'll give him credit. He went down with the ship.
Well, he did.
I mean, he kept saying the same thing. He was consistently bad at what his message was to the Auburn people. And finally, enough was enough. Defense once again showed up, forced some turnovers, kept them in the game. It was the first time since 1991 that the Auburn team had given up less than 10 or less points and lost a football game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing you get that kind of effort on the defensive side. And the yo-yo addition with his quarterbacks, it just summed up the 3 years under Hugh Freeze. Just absolute ridiculous.
Well, not that it was clearly evident, but now after the fact and now that Hugh Freeze has been dismissed, just hearing some of the things that have been going on. And I never want to accuse anyone of quitting or giving up on their team because that's a pretty serious accusation. But just from someone who would say there was dissension that was beginning to kind of culminate within that Auburn locker room. Not specific players, but just after about 2 weeks ago, it was, well, this is pretty obvious. And I think that there's probably some frustration, a lot of frustration with guys on the offensive side of the ball. But can you imagine going out there and give DJ Durkin credit? He's getting those guys to rally and to fight hard and to keep playing hard. But at some point, you're going to lose faith and start questioning, what are we doing here? And I think that started to take place on the Plains.
Well, you and I were texting back and forth as we were watching the game on Saturday night. And, one thing's for sure, that the Auburn people, just good people, and they love their football program. And they've been through a lot since they decided to get rid of Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn never had a losing season. And then all of a sudden you bring in the clown show after Gus Malzahn, and they have not been above 500. But Auburn people continue to show up, and Saturday night was the 20th consecutive sellout. And that all 20 of those games came under Hugh Freeze, and Hugh Freeze is 9-11, or was 9-11 in those 20 games at Jordan-Hare Stadium, one of the best atmospheres you're going to find in college football. How in the world can somebody not have that at your back, to be able to try to get you over the hump in games? It's just amazing. But seeing the crowd leave right after the light show in the third quarter, seeing the students, they left, they were partying, doing whatever they wanted to do. Folks had enough. And if you're the athletics director or one of these big boosters that write checks and you're sitting in your suite and you look around that stadium, the fans had enough.
And at Auburn, that speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks volumes. If that would be one of the last fan bases that I would see doing that, but that's a great way to show administration and everybody else that you're not pleased. When
Oh.
half of you stick around to boo the coach off the field, voice your displeasure.
And this just isn't a new thing at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Think about this. Since 1948, only 3 coaches in the history of Auburn football has ever had a losing record inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. And Hugh Freeze is one of the 3, along with Brian Harsin. And you remember Earl Brown? 1948 through 1950. Earl was 1-3-1 as the head coach of Auburn.
1-3-1?
Yes. 1 win, 3 losses, 1 tie.
He's the only coach with a worse record than Hugh Freeze in a 3-year tenure at Auburn.
Yeah.
Was Earl really close?
A few times.
Yeah.
The officiating back then was terrible.
If that tie would have went our way, I'd only been 2-3.
All right, so Freeze's buyout, as we have reminded everybody, it's very economical in this day and time of college football buyouts. Yes, he's going to make $406,105 per month by Auburn till January the 31st of 2029. They owe him about $4.8 million annually. There is no mitigation requirement by Freeze. Auburn would not have any right to offset any such payment, so he is getting his money, period. So he can go be an evangelist, he can be a TV talk show host, he can be a radio podcast host, whatever he wants to do, Auburn still has to pay him.
And that's well and good, and I think Hugh Freeze, no major scandals while he was there at Auburn. You're able to recruit well, but I don't want to take anything away from his efforts there. Auburn will still be able to recruit really well with the resources, the facilities that they have, and the money that's there in the collective, especially with the energy behind whoever is named the new head coach. You can do that there. And continuity, it's almost non-existent if you're worried about losing players. And by the way, this is some of these guys, what good are they doing you on your roster as we speak? But yeah, Hugh Freeze, go in and enjoy 18 today. Heck, go play 27.
So if you're keeping the math at home, if you're an accountant, if you go back to Gus Malzahn, Brian Harsin, and now Hugh Freeze, it's about $51 million that you're paying guys not to coach your school.
Yep.
So that's one Brian Kelly.
That's one Brian Kelly. That's less than one Jimbo Fisher.
Significantly less than one Jimbo Fisher.
John Cohen, back in November of 2022, he said the following: after a thoughtful, thorough, and well-vetted search, we ended where we started with Hugh Freeze. Of all the candidates we considered, he was the best fit. Fit has several meanings, but the most important factors were student-athlete development, football strategy, recruiting, and SEC experience. That was John Cohen when they announced the hiring of Hugh Freeze back in 2022.
It's going to be interesting to see where Cohen goes here and how many voices that he's listening to with his coaching search. And I believe that John Cohen has been doing due diligence for the past few weeks from people that I've talked to. But I don't put the Hugh Freeze hire. I know that Paul kind of mentioned it yesterday, totally on John Cohen. If you look at the timing, there was before John Cohen got to Auburn, there was a fascination with Hugh Freeze because I would hear it amongst folks that go to those parties.
Hugh Freeze has been politicking for the Auburn job the moment he got on the sidelines at Liberty.
Yep.
He has been absolutely – he would call talk shows off the air. He would call talk show host. He would beg them, please say good things about me.
Yep.
Please. Yep. I really want to get back in the SEC. I really want to coach at Auburn. Do everything you can, please. Or if you conducted an interview with somebody from Hugh Freeze's past and Hugh Freeze would be listening to that interview, Hugh Freeze would then call that person after the interview and chastise them on all the inaccuracies that person supposedly said during that interview.
Mm-hmm.
That was Hugh Freeze, one of the most paranoid people that you are ever going to meet in the college football world. And that's a fact.
I wish I had the okay to tell a story about that.
Yeah. And I know exactly the story that you're referring to.
But it would blow your mind and you would go, oh, wow, that's kind of what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. So he wanted this job for years. This is the job that he coveted. Now, whatever took place once he got to Auburn, whether he wasn't playing enough golf, whether he chastised people because I actually have to be in the football office, whatever the case may be, obviously the results showed up on the field, which was not a lot of wins.
Yeah. Going back to the the coaching search and what it should look like, I would be, and I don't know how many Auburn fans would support this, but would you trust a guy like John Cohen to get it done?
Well, here's the thing. This is my 6th Auburn head coaching
I'd
search.
be willing to give John Cohen a shot.
Well, first off, that doesn't happen at Auburn.
I know, but let's hey, Pat, you got to play along though.
I mean, that does not happen at Auburn. I mean, you could say all you want to about an athletic director, but at the end of the day, the guys that's going to write the biggest checks are going to be the ones that's going to decide who the coach is.
And to be fair, it doesn't happen at Texas A&M and it doesn't happen at Florida.
But in my experience at Auburn, this is the 6th time.
Oh,
no.
no.
One single time has the athletics director been the one that's hired the coach.
No, you're exactly right. That's why I'm saying this time, can we see what happens? Because the other ones, the Harsin debacle where you had half of the room wanting somebody else, and then in the middle of the night they go and they get this guy, Brian Harsin. It hasn't worked out. So maybe trying something different. I think egos, I think money, that probably messes that whole pretty idea up. I'm with you. I question whether you're able to make this run as smoothly as you would like.
Well, the good news is that apparently the person that they have highlighted as potentially the next guy, they stunk it up big time in the Alamo Dome the other night, which means he's available. So, I mean, this could go pretty quick. I mean, if there is obviously Auburn's interested in John Sumrall. If John Sumrall shares that same excitement for Auburn, then this deal should be done pretty quickly.
No, you ask for a commitment and you say, look, if you want to wait around to see what LSU figures out ultimately what they want to do, we don't have time to do that. We got to go and find somebody who's committed to do it right now, and let's try to have this whatever agreement in place. I don't know how those things typically work. If it's a gentleman's agreement, a handshake, I guess you can't legally sign something, but yeah. We'll see.
Yes. So who does Vegas think is going to be the next coach at Auburn? Well, John Sumrall, as we were just mentioning, him and Kenny Dillingham, who was the offensive coordinator at Auburn in 2019. They're co-favorites, according to Las Vegas, at plus 300. I'm just telling you right now, and for anybody to see or say that Franklin is a legitimate candidate at Auburn, I'm sorry. I do not believe it. I would be shocked among the shocked.
I asked somebody again yesterday, James Franklin, and they said no, absolutely not. It's a non-starter.
So Franklin, according to Las Vegas, has the second best odds, followed then by Brent Key. This next name, I put them in the same category with James Franklin. That's Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
If this was 10 years ago, absolutely. This isn't 10 years ago. I don't.
Hey,
correct me if you think I'm wrong. I do not think Jimbo Fisher is a legitimate candidate.
He knows folks. He knows the lay of the land. I get the ties and all of that. But after what you've seen, especially on offense here recently, and really the Auburn quarterback struggles for more than a decade for whatever reason, no matter the coach, you're going to bring in a coach who GMAC on this very radio station said that his offense was the hardest to operate and to learn for a quarterback in college football. You're going to bring that in and hope that it works.
Especially in this day and age where you don't have multiple years to have quarterbacks develop.
Right.
Like these are all hired mercenaries.
This isn't the redshirt junior you're trotting out there,
No.
and he's got 4 years, and he could teach the class on how to run your offense.
No. So again, you've got Sumrall, Dillingham, co-favorites according to Vegas. James Franklin next, Brent Key, Jimbo, then Ryan Silverfield at Memphis at plus 850, then Drinkwitz at 11-1. So those are your top heavy Vegas odds at potentially who could be the next coach at Auburn.
Yeah, and I don't know. I like Eli Drinkwitz, but apparently he's not for everybody, from what I hear.
And I went back and I looked. In 2022, when the job officially came open, Vegas had Hugh Freeze as the number one candidate at 2-1, followed by Lane Kiffin, 11-4. Deion Sanders had the third best odds to be the Auburn head coach at 7-1. Jeff Grimes, remember him?
Yeah.
He was 11-1, along with Mike Leach and Kevin Steele, Mark Stoops, Matt Rule, Mike Gundy, all 12-1 odds.
Can we have that coaching search again? That's wild.
Matt Campbell, 14-1, and Urban Meyer was 25-1. Those were the odds when the Auburn job came open back in 2022.
Look, if some of these, not Jimbo or any of those other names, but some of the names that are mentioned there that have the better odds of becoming Auburn's next head coach, there's a few of those names. If you get down to that name, I think Auburn fans would be okay with DJ Durkin just being named the head coach. If there's been a bright spot on that team within that program, it's been DJ Durkin. He's I don't know where they are statistically. It seems and it feels like the defense has gotten better every single year. And then this year, finally putting it together, you got guys that want to play for him. They continue to play hard for him. I think you could do a lot worse.
Yeah, Auburn was 9th last year in total defense. They're 4th this year in the SEC. So a huge improvement.
Yep.
So just my personal opinion about Durkin, I don't think Auburn will go there.
I don't either.
He's 10-15 as a head football coach. I don't need to detail the issues that he had at Maryland. You're coming off the hiring of a questionable individual in Hugh Freeze. Now you're going to hire DJ Durkin, who's under 500 as a football coach. That just
No, I'm not saying it's realistic.
no. I'm not saying you are.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
saying that anybody that wants to say that DJ Durkin, go ahead and hand him the job. I think there's going to be some people that's going to say, no.
Oh, you're going to
don't think so.
You'll get backlash. Now, I mean, the thing to remember is DJ Durkin is still and has been, whether it's been at Ole Miss, Texas A&M, or now at Auburn, people are still letting their kids go and play for him, for anybody who wants to throw up. And it's legit. It happened. It was a tragedy, but throw what happened under his watch. Not the win's loss, but the tragedy that happened with the McNair young man losing his
But he
life.
hasn't been given a head coaching job since then.
No, he hasn't. You're right.
I mean, I think that's why people aren't going to give him a head coaching job.
Well, and we had people this morning on Morning Jog saying, well, why would Glenn Schumann potentially be a name you would hear and not DJ? Because one's a defensive coordinator just like DJ Durkin, but I think the baggage that comes with DJ Durkin would be the obstacle there.
We'll see. One thing's for sure, in the history of Auburn hiring, anything is possible. Anything. So just buckle up and get ready. Because it is Auburn. All right, we want to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. We will open up the phone lines coming up next at 1-800-239-WJOX on this Reaction Monday. At the bottom of the hour, we'll go to Auburn, talk to Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover, get his feelings on the firing of Hugh Freeze.
Well, as football season moves on, you know that means changes in the weather are coming, so you need to protect your HVAC system with a checkup from a trained comfort specialist so that when the cold weather hits, you'll have peace of mind that you're protected by America's most reliable and most trusted brand. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at train.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Reaction to Hugh Freeze being fired at Auburn, 800-239-WJOX. Rich has been holding on. Hey, Rich, how are you?
What's up, fellas?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Good. Y'all have a good weekend?
We did. It was busy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I called in last Friday, I believe, and talked to Cole and them. I said Kentucky would win against Auburn, just mainly because Auburn can't score more than 17, 14 points. I didn't know it was going to be 3 points that they scored. Honestly, probably Hugh should have been fired in the Arkansas game after that one because they only scored 7 points from the offense standpoint. You know, if it wouldn't have been for the kicker and the defensive plays that saved them in that game, that's probably the only reason they won that game.
I'm told that the plan was the plan was that they were going to go up there. A lot of people thought that they would lose, me included, and that he would have been shown the door after that game. But they didn't feel like the optics would be great for he finally gets a win and then you can him right after that game. So it took a week longer.
Sure. So, you know, I did listen to some of the coaching names that you mentioned. I don't think Dillingham will probably leave because he's got a lot of his family lives right down the street from where he lives. I think he's a better fit out there. I heard a lot about what DJ Durkin has done at Maryland. From my understanding, he's got people in place now to keep them in check at Auburn, and he's already been pulled to the side a couple times just to cool off and get them back in line with some of the defensive players. I think I've come on the show quite a bit and said I know DJ would be a great fit. I don't think they'll go that route. I think DJ will probably be gone after they do hire somebody, which is unfortunate. But I think if they were to keep DJ around, I think the turnaround will be quicker for Auburn. You save a little bit more just getting a hot name OC versus a big-time coach. You don't have that much money coming out of the pool, and you could spend that money to retain some of those players. You know, I know that's very unlikely. I think that's probably the best-case scenario, but there's so many big names looking for a coach now. I think the pool has shrunk a lot, and if you don't get your main guy, you know, maybe they do go with DJ for 1 year and see how he does, and if it doesn't work out, hire somebody then, but that could be dangerous too. It's 50 one way and 50 the other. I just don't really know what to think. I think DJ would be a great option just based on what he's done on the defensive side versus what we've done on the offensive side. So it's you know, that's who I'd like to see. But, you know, I also said Hugh was a great fit. And, you know, I got my shoe in my foot and mouth now.
Well, thank you for the phone call. We appreciate it, Rich. Yeah,
I will say this. I don't think Auburn's going to hire somebody for 1 year. This is not going to be let's test the waters and give him the keys to the multi-million-dollar corporation so that you can go. And they just had 3 years of a test coach.
Yep,
and it didn't work out.
I would not be surprised to see if, and it looks like DJ Durkin will not be at Auburn next year. But if he's not, I would not be surprised to see him reunited with or united with Lane Kiffin in the future.
I think that Pete Golden relationship does not seem to be the very best.
No, I think DJ and Lane work really, really well together. Let's continue with your phone calls. Let's go to Beham Dog. Beham Dog, how are you?
Man, I'm doing super. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Is your wife, the Auburn fan, happy that they fired Hugh Freeze?
Yes, man. No, my wife's so kind-hearted, man. She don't want anybody to lose her job. She's still sad that Harson's gone just because she's just that type of person. So I think her feelings are more hurt about the fact that somebody's losing their job. But I'm with Rich, man. I'm a Dogs fan. We know that. So, but I think Durkin would be a great hire. I talked to Morning Josh this morning about that. I know he's had some issues, but let's look at it this way. When I joined the military and I joined the Army at 17 years old, my grandpappy told me, man, the drill sergeant's going to be in you. And then my dad told me, the drill sergeant's going to be in you. So it wasn't as bad as I thought. Now I see, I have friends that have kids in the military, and they tell me some of the things that the drill sergeant does now. Over time, culture has we're soft. Our military is soft because how we have to treat people now. And I'm not saying what happened in Maryland was terrible, absolutely horrible. I couldn't imagine being a parent. But can you imagine? I mean, how's Bear Bryant coach? We probably all played high school football, and it is a lot different how coaches have to treat kids now at the high school level versus how back in the 90s, back in the 80s, back in the 70s. So I think culture played a big part of that whole toxic situation. But that's not really the reason why I wanted to call. I called to talk about John Summerall. Let me read something off to you real fast, and I'm going to hang up and let you guys talk about it. 2 Sun Belt championships. 2 West championships. 1 2-time Sun Belt Coach of the Year. Who did I just describe?
Yeah, it was,
Think hard.
was it Hugh Freeze?
It was Billy Napier.
Oh.
Be careful, Auburn, because John Summerall, 2-time Sun Belt champion, also Sun Belt Coach of the Year, and 2-time West Division champion. Be careful, Auburn. I'm not sold on John Summerall. But that's just my 2 cents from an outsider looking in.
Well, he lost his 4th conference game as a head coach on Friday in the Alamo Dome.
Yeah.
He's 24-4 in conference play.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
No,
But
and I'm with you. There's no sure bet anymore. There's not.
No, you're right.
I thought Billy Napier would work at Florida. I thought it was a great hire and he'd have great success there. That didn't happen. Brian Kelly, who predicted that he would fail at LSU?
Well,
In their eyes.
I don't know. I still think Billy Napier is a great coach. I would love to have him on the Georgia staff. I believe Billy Napier is a great coach. Why it didn't work at Florida, I have no idea.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I'm just not sold on John Summerall, and I would just be careful. That's just me as a Georgia.
Who would you hire? Who would you hire, BM Dog? You're making this hire. Jimbo Fisher or John Summerall?
Say that one more time.
Jimbo or John Summerall?
Honestly, I think I would hire Jimbo Fisher because he has had some success at the Power 5 level.
He's also not had success at the Power 5 level. Would you be willing to give John Summerall, with all of the resources that he would have available that he has not had in the 2 previous stops, would you be willing to roll the dice, air quotes, well, you are rolling the dice, and give him a shot?
Yeah. I mean, if you put it that way, yeah, I guess so. But that's Auburn's problem. They've been rolling dice, and they just keep rolling snake eyes, man. So, I'm just the way Durkin has kept that defensive unit together through the turmoil this year tells me that he's a great leader and a great motivator outside of the X's and O's, and that speaks volumes.
Oh, you can tell those kids love playing for him for sure. BM Dog, thank you for the phone call. We can continue with your phone calls. We will talk Auburn. Jason Caldwell going to join us from the Plains, kind of give us the skinny on what went down this past weekend, also moving forward in the Auburn coaching search. It's Reaction Monday. A lot of your phone calls, we'll get to those, and a lot of your text. 205-834-9450. It's 3-man front on this Monday right here on Jocks.
It is 11:34 on this Reaction Monday. Welcome back in. This is Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from Athletics Director John Cohen. He'll be meeting with the media coming up at 1:30. We will carry those comments with him and the interim head coach, DJ Durkin. Joining us now from Auburn Undercover on the Higginbotham Hotline, Jason Caldwell joins us now. Jason, I know this is probably an answer to this question. It's like peeling an onion back. It would take you a long time to really come to a conclusion, but I am interested. If you could sum it up, why do you think the Hugh Freeze era did not work at Auburn?
Yeah, it's 100% offense, and that's really why you hire a guy like Hugh Freeze is to go, hey, look, you're gonna get the offense right. A guy that's built a program and can recruit, and so you're like, okay, all those things you look at and go, think about, okay, what's the next step? Then you go, well, you're gonna score more points, and then you might give you a chance to win some games, and it just never materialized, and so. He did the part that had to be done first, which was rebuild an entire roster. They did those things and rebuilt a roster that was like sorely depleted. So the talent level got to where you needed to go compete, and we even saw that this year. They've competed with everybody on the schedule and a bunch of teams that are now in position for playoff berths. They had chances to win those games, but they just couldn't get over the hump because of a lack of offense. So in the end, that's what doomed it. And I don't think this was made until Kentucky the other night. I think people you're like you're on the right track, and then Saturday you go, no, that's it. And it felt like it Saturday night.
Jason Caldwell joining us here on Three-Man Front as we take a look back at the tenure that was Hugh Freeze at Auburn. Also looking forward, Jason joins us, as all of our guests do, on the Higginbotham Hotline. From being around the team in the capacity that you're allowed to be around the team and see a lot of things that either your readers or our listeners don't get to see, as far as the team, and I understand what the message was and everybody staying together, could you start to sense some dissension because of the offense and the struggles that they had with the defense putting out stellar efforts?
Not really. It's hard to tell. I know there's frustration. I mean, there's no way. It's we're human beings, and you're going to be frustrated if you're the defense. But normally that leads to guys just going, no, we're done, and we're rolling over, and that didn't happen. Even against Kentucky the other night, you kept waiting to see if that was going to take place. Now, maybe after last week it might have happened, where they're like, okay, that's it, we're done, we can't do this anymore. And that might have been the last straw, but I don't think I saw any of that, even through the game Saturday night. And then we were around yesterday afternoon when the players kind of got out of the team meeting, and it's offensive guys, defensive guys. I think the thing about nowadays with these kids is it's a business for them. They understand it's a business for coaches, and in the NFL, you don't have guys that cry when teammates get traded or coaches get fired, and I think they really like Hugh Freeze, but they also understand, okay, they got to go play for the next guy. And so I think because of that, they've been pretty resilient so far.
Jason, you've been around this conference for a long time. You have watched Auburn through the years, and one thing is constant. If you do not have an elite quarterback, you cannot win in this league. You cannot win in major college football. So where do we currently stand with the Auburn quarterback situation in regards to who potentially is going to get to start against Vanderbilt? Could we see Deuce Knight?
Yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth on it. I think at some point you've got to see Deuce Knight at the end of this season. I don't think there's any question about that. But I don't know how quickly you can do that with you're now scrambling, and I don't think we'll see a lot of changes in this one. You got two guys that have been coordinators before on this staff offensively. I don't think you'll have to change a whole lot, but it'd be really difficult to jump into this one after the last 24 hours and say, all right, now we're going to scrap it all and get our third different quarterback ready to start in 3 weeks. I don't know that that's feasible. Maybe you can do it. It sure feels like that'd be tough. Maybe you point to a bye week and then Mercer to go, hey, let's give him 2 full weeks to get ready. what he does best. You build an offense around him somewhat, and give it a go. I think at some point you got to see what he is, and there's no harm now because I mean, even if you got to a bowl game at this point, the bowl game wouldn't count. So Deuce Knight could play the rest of the season and still redshirt. So I think that's the point where at some point you need to see that. Not only if you're a DJ Dirk, but I think the Auburn athletic department needs to see that, because you got to figure out for the next coach, what does the quarterback room look like, and do you think he's a guy that can be one of those guys? So I think that's part of it. But no question that the lack of quarterback play has been an issue, and not just these 3 years, but everything since Bo Nix left, and even when Bo Nix was there, it was an issue because of the offensive system. And so you've got to get that position right, and part of that means getting the head coach right and/or the next coordinator.
And speaking to that, Jason, and this is probably really tough for you to answer, but you've been down there for a long time covering that program. How much influence will some of the influential boosters have in John Cohen and who he selects or taps as Auburn's next head coach?
No different than every other school in this country. Everybody always points to Auburn and says that, and every school in this country has the same guys. Texas A&M has more of them than anybody. I mean, like, they will, hey, we like this guy. But in the end, the athletic director is going to make his call, and John Cohen's the guy that is not easily influenced, just from my thoughts on being around him. But yeah, like, it is no different. You look at LSU, you look at, Texas A&M, Florida. Everybody has those folks. They all have some influence. Alabama has them, always has, always will. And so I don't think it's going to be any more or any less than anybody else is going to have in this situation.
If I'm asking you, Jason, to give me the traits of right now what Auburn, not only that program historically, the culture down there, but the nature that is college football these days, this climate in the SEC. If I said just characteristics, personality traits of the next coach, what should that look like in your eyes?
Yeah, it's a tough call, because it used to be what you looked for was offense or defense. You went, you go for that guy, this guy. Now, with everything that's going on, I really think you need somebody that is an organizational guy, that has his finger on the pulse of everything, but can also hire coaches and let those guys do their jobs. I think, as much as anything, I think that's vitally important. And it really feels like now you need somebody on the younger edge of things, because of the flexibility now needed to do this job and the changing culture. It's hard for coaches who've been in this for a while to adjust to this difference, and now it's this difference again. I really think that the younger coaches that are more flexible have an advantage right now. I think it's a big part of things, and so I think you're looking at, to me, the CEO thing that people have always said. I think that is a trait that I would be looking for. Is this somebody that I think can build a program while turning things over to his coaches and let them do their jobs. I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's the way to go right now.
Jason, in regards to the coaching search, if it is someone that maybe perhaps the representation has shown interest in the Auburn job, or just any job in general around the Southeastern Conference, do you think that this is something, if there's mutual interest between Auburn and this so-called individual, that this could move pretty quickly in regards to a coaching hire?
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be within the next month, and because I just don't think you're going to hire somebody who's still coaching somewhere else. I don't think that'll happen. And the crazy thing is that normally you would have thought in the past you got to do this thing quickly because of signing day, and now that can't be a factor. You just got to get the right coach. Because of the portal, you're going to have a chance to go sign some players, and that's why I think it's tougher and tougher for high school kids because of that. Because you go, I don't think that has to impact your decision. I don't think you want to drag it on a long time, but I don't feel like this is something that's done quickly, and I guess quickly would be the next couple of weeks. I just don't think that's going to happen. I would guess we're probably somewhere early December once teams start to finish their seasons, then you might see it happen then pretty
I,
quickly.
I know that there's all kinds of hot boards that are out there. Would you be comfortable throwing out 3 names right now that you think are trending, whether they become the head coach at Auburn or not?
Yeah, I think you look and you go, there's obviously some names that are going to be involved because there's names that are involved with a lot of searches right now. And names, right now what you try to do is go names that make sense. And that's what you look at. So John Summerall's a name that makes sense when you start thinking about the qualities that I think you're probably looking for. And a guy that also has ties to Alabama, young guy that has been good in his time as a head coach so far. So I think that's one of the guys you probably look at. Then you start to think about other guys that are going to be thrown out there. There's going to be a lot of names. I would think that an Eli Drinkwitz would be a guy, connection, and been at Auburn before. Obviously a guy that has done a really good job at Missouri. And then, honestly, even though Rhett Lashley signed an extension, I still think that's a guy that because of his time at Auburn, because of the friendships he has with people here at Auburn, outside the athletic department, just in general, I think that would be a name that I think will at some point have at least a little bit of buzz as well. So there's going to be others. There's going to be a Glenn Schumann at Georgia. There's going to be a lot of names I think that'll be involved, and you'll hear Lane Kiffin's name thrown in there again for Auburn as well. But that's 3 guys I think you'll probably be in the at least in the buzz at some point.
He is Jason Caldwell. You can find him auburnundercover.com at ITAT Jason there on Twitter. Jason, we always appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate y'all.
Jason Caldwell joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
As the weather begins to turn, now is the time to get your mowers and tractors serviced for the end of the season, and Artec Tractor is the place to do it. They're your certified Mahindra servicing dealer, and just in time for hunting season, their hunter's package includes the Mahindra 1635 with loader, trailer, bush hog, tiller, and spreader, all for $0 down and just $450 per month. Artec also has a full line of tractors as well as heavy construction equipment for those big jobs, just north of Jasper on Highway 5 or online at artectractor.com.
Full bank of phone calls. We'll get to your calls here on this Reaction Monday. Everyone reacting to Auburn firing Hugh Freeze yesterday and who potentially could take over at the end of the season. We continue. 3-man front on Jock.
It is 11:51. We'll get back to your phone calls now at 1-800-239-WJOX. Kalen DeBoer will meet with the media at 12 noon. We will not talk to him. We'll listen to what he has to say. And then at 1 o'clock, Bill Clark. 1:30, we'll hear from the athletics director at Auburn, John Cohen, along with the interim head coach, DJ Durkin.
Let's get back to your phone calls. David has been waiting patiently. Hey, David, welcome into Three Man Front.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Lifelong Auburn fan. I've been watching through the low of lows in 2012 and the highs. And I remember watching the teams in the early 2000s as a kid under Tuberville and just how close-knit they were. And that's something that's been missing for several years for Auburn. So I think Cohen's going to have to hit a home run hire with somebody that can rally the troops as a whole and not just the defense, as Dirk has done consistently over these last 5 or 6 weeks. This has been horrendous football on the field collectively. I want to comment on the Vegas odds that you mentioned, and surprisingly, I was surprised to hear that the ASU coach was number 2. I don't think he's really gotten that much talk or hype.
Actually, he's a co-favorite. He's not number 2. He's a co-favorite along with John Summerall.
Co-favorite. Yeah, I don't think he's co-favorite of people's opinions, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. He's kind of flying under the radar. I know he has some ties to Auburn for a year in the late 2019, I believe. Did a pretty good job recruiting. I know his home base is in Arizona, but I think that would be worthwhile for them to dive into. You listen to his press conferences after wins and losses, and it's a 180 from what we get from Hugh Freeze. So I think just for that reason, he's worth talking about a little bit more. And then my other comment is Ohio State has done a good job of this, and it may be a trend moving forward. It may not, but hiring a big name offensive coordinator instead of trying to fill in the role with the big name as the head coach. And that could look like moving Dirk to the head coach and letting him keep reins on the defense and spending some money to bring a big name offensive coordinator in instead of this coaching carousel that we've been on. So I'm going to hang up and listen. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate the phone call. Yeah, I don't know if the way that he described it, and I know he said that might not be a bad option. Kenny Dillingham is a name that I've not really heard with a whole lot of traction at all. He's an Arizona State guy. I think that they've made commitments to him that they have never made in the past. I don't see it. Not saying it couldn't happen, but don't see it.
Well, what happens when folks start putting together hot boards? Yeah. You start putting together not only the names that you hear about on shows like this, but then you also try to do, okay, well, this guy had a cup of coffee as an analyst or a coordinator, whatever the case may be. And listen, that relationship might lead to a further conversation about taking the job. But I'm like you, Landrum. Over the last 24 to 48 hours, I have not heard Kenny Dillingham's name mentioned with the ferocity that we've heard from a John Summerall and some other people.
And also, remember the game that's being played by all of these agents.
Absolutely.
Every bit of this.
Hey, get my name in the mix.
Yeah, get my name in the mix. They just gave me the bump in my contract, but it wasn't quite the bump we were looking for. Let's see if they bite on this.
You know, it's interesting. And, Jason Caldwell, because over the weekend it was announced that Rhett Lashley had agreed to a 2-year contract extension at SMU.
Right.
And I think I brought this up on the show last week, but one of the Penn State insiders, they continue to mention Matt Rule's name for the Penn State job. I have no idea why.
He hadn't signed the contract.
But the fact that Matt Rule continues to lose games against top-notch opponents, why would Penn State want to? But my point being is that just because someone has signed an extension, that doesn't mean that they're completely out of the mix, because obviously the people at Penn State still like Matt Rule because this person is continuing to put Matt Rule's name pretty high up on the list. Meanwhile, Rhett Lashley, as Jason Caldwell just pointed out, just because he signed a 2-year extension at SMU doesn't mean that if Auburn came knocking on his door that he wouldn't talk.
Hey, and if the buyout is really low, unless it's a massive buyout, it's worth what that sheet of paper and the ink costs to print it.
Because they're all liars.
Listen to Pat.